If you're using the connectors in Claude to Gmail, Google Drive, there are some limitations. First of all is that you can only add in one Google account, right, which limits you if you have multiple emails and multiple Google Drives. Second, the actual functions of these tools tends to be kind of limited, right? So within the Gmail tool, you can only really create drafts. You can't send out emails, and you can't also go into threads, read the specific emails, and then reply to all. Things like this. But this is where the Google Workspace CLI comes in. So if you actually create a connection to the Google Workspace CLI, you're able to use the CLI through Claude to be able to access multiple Google accounts. So that's multiple Google Drives, multiple Gmails, multiple Google Calendars. You'll also be able to have a much wider breadth of functions. So for example, being able to, again, create slides, but also to actually send Gmail emails, create Google Calendar events, and pretty much do everything that you could possibly want. But with the Google Workspace CLI, you're able to do multiple things. You can summarize your emails across different inboxes. You can digest information from your Google Calendar. You can create Google slide decks. You can edit Google Sheets. You can create Google Documents. So you can do all of the stuff that the existing connectors can do, but a lot more. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to install the Google Workspace CLI across two different Google accounts. First of all, they have a GitHub link. So the Google Workspace CLI, you can just Google it and you'll find it here. And on it, it's got a bunch of instructions of how to install it. But one way of doing this, which is easy, is to copy paste the link. And we're going to then open up Claude and we're going to give it an instruction. I would like to install the Google Workspace CLI. Ask me any questions that you may have about doing this. The purpose of this is that I want to be able to read and write Gmail, emails, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. And I want to set up multiple accounts. Follow the GitHub link here. Instead of link, I'll write documentation. And let's go. So now it's asked me some questions. So what Google accounts would you like to connect? I'm going to write down a Google Workspace account. Do you already have a Google Cloud project set up with OAuth credentials? No, I will create one. And what services do you want to enable? Basically all of these, right? So Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, Sheets, Docs, etc. Yep. Next. And how would you like to install the Google Workspace? So they give you various options: Homebrew, NPM global install, and pre-built binary. So you can do any of these options actually. For this one, I'm going to do it with Homebrew. So it's asked me mention multiple accounts. Do you want to also connect your personal account? Yeah, I do as well. Now it's asked me, do I want to install the G-Cloud CLI? It makes Google Cloud project setup much easier. So actually, no, I'm going to manually set this up through Google Cloud Console. And I'm doing this because I've had previous issues. The last time that I did it with the G-Cloud thing, it didn't work. So this way, I have found that it does work. Cool, and you can see now it has installed Google Workspace via Homebrew. And it's also created a config folder where I can put actually my password keys and everything like that, right? So let's go through it. So the next things that I need to do is first I need to create a Google Cloud project, and I need to enable the APIs. So the APIs are the different services that I want to activate. So Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, etc. Right, so let's just follow the steps actually. So first we're going to go to console.cloud.google.com. So let me select this. And you'll see you enter this over here. And if you click on this button here, you can see the project picker. And we're going to click on new project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a name. So Google Workspace CLI. Organization is me. I click create. So we've now created the project. I'm now going to select into it. Next, it says that we need to go to enable the required APIs. So with the project selected, go to API services and library. Okay, so here we are. And now let's go on this hand side, enabled APIs and services. And it said enable API and services. I'm going to click plus this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for all of the different relevant APIs. So first I'm going to go on Gmail, Gmail API, enable. Next, let's look up Google Drive. enable. Next, we'll look up Google Slides. So I'm basically adding all of my used tools within Google. And this is going to give it the ability to call these APIs and use them basically. So we'll be able to, use Google Drive. We'll be able to use Google Slides. We'll be able to use Google Sheets in this case. So we'll be able to populate and edit, rows and columns of data. Be able to read it as well. So read and write the Google Sheet data is super handy, for like e-com businesses and anybody using Sheets quite a lot. So I think I've added most of them, right? Calendar, maps. What else did I have? Sheets, calendar. Oh, docs. Yeah, that one. Okay, so I've enabled all of the APIs. Now the next step is to configure the OAuth. So this is slightly more complicated, but I'm going to walk you through it as well. So we're going to go to API and Services OAuth consent screen. So let's do that first. So on the left hand side, we'll find it. So it's API and Services OAuth consent screen. And once we're here, you can see there's a button called Get Started. So I'm going to click that. And now I'm just going to name the same thing. So it's going to be called GWS CLI. I'm going to select my own email. Next, for who can access it, I'm going to write external, and then I'm going to write my own name as well after this, but I'll show you first. So just write my email address. I click finish, continue, and then I click create. So now we've set up the OAuth consent screen. So the next step is to set up a test user. So I think we do this by going into audience. And then you see under here, test users, we're then going to add ourselves. So we're going to add our own email into this. So whatever work email that you're using or the personal email that you want to sign into, Google Drive or Gmail, etc. So this is that same email you're going to add as a test user. You're going to go to clients, and then you're going to actually create a client here. And we're going to write a desktop application. Again, I'm going to call it GWS CLI. And you can see I've got all the details here. So what I'm going to do is at the end of here, I'm going to click download JSON. Right, so this has now downloaded that key that I'm going to be using, which is basically like a password, right? Next, I need to save it to this hidden folder in the root of my computer, right? So it's going to be within my profile and then in this .config, right? So let me just do this now. So I've gone into the folder and now I'm pasting in client secret. So where this is basically is like in your username, there's like hidden files. So you hit Command Shift N, or I think it's Command Shift full stop, and then you'll be able to see the hidden folders. You go into that folder, then there's another one called GWS, you paste the file here. So the actual path is like denoted here, right? So you just follow this basically. Right, so I've put now the client secret within that folder. So next, after this is done, come back here and I'll run the login command again. So let's do this now. So for this example, I only did one email account. So I'm just going to say to it, let's only run it with one. I've only run it with one account, which is my john@jonathanlewell.com account. So now it's running the GWS auth login, which is going to be like the login process, like the first login to authenticate the account. So let's see what it does. Okay, and you can see it's run it, and it says the login flow is waiting for you to authenticate in the browser. Open this URL in the browser and then sign in with my email. Right, so let's try this, but I need it to actually provide me the link. So I'm going to say, provide me the full URL. Okay, so there it is. So basically I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to authenticate myself. So you see here, now it's asked me to log in, so I'm going to log in. Continue, and then yes, you have access to all of this stuff. You may now close the window. So that is done. I did it. Oh, it's actually checking by itself, that's fine. So it's now all done. It's connected to Drive, Gmail, Calendar, Sheets, and Docs. and it's also updated my connections.md file. Now I recommend that you do create something like this that denotes exactly what type of connections you have to your different API services or MCP services, or in this case command line interface services, right? So you can see this is my file, and it's now got like, like all the different tools that I have. So it's got the Google Workspace CLI, so this one. It's also got my Google Calendar, it's got my Slack, vidIQ, Google Drive, Granola for meeting notes, all this kind of stuff, right? So these are all the connections that I use, and it's all documented in this note, right? So that like whenever you're asking for like, read my Gmail, it's going to know, okay, so I need to use the Google Workspace CLI, right? So let's give it a go, and let me just show you what is possible with this. Can you draft a document very quickly in Google Drive using the Google command line interface workspace, documenting the steps that I took to set up the Google Workspace CLI? And it's now done it. So let's visit the guide to see if it's worked. And it has worked. So you can see here we've got the guide, right? So set up all within a Google document. And the same can be done also within a Google slide deck. So let's try that as well. Turn this into a Google slide deck. Very short one-pager. And you can see here it's now created it. So if I click on this now, it's then going to show me, yeah, so it's got an actual deck. Obviously some stuff could be optimized. It's got a big old click to add text function here. But overall, it's not bad, right? Just a few edits required. And this actually looks pretty good. Okay, so now I've shown you how to install it the first time. Let's do it for multiple accounts, because I do actually have multiple email accounts. I have multiple Google Drives. So I have like 4 actual Google Workspaces that I need to add for the 4 different businesses that I have. Right, so to add another one, let's ask Claude. Let's now add another Google Workspace integration, this time for my Insider1 email address. It's asked me for my actual email address. I'm going to add it here as well. So this is my work email. And I'll note down that it's a separate Google Cloud Workspace account. This is a separate Google Cloud Workspace account. What I mean by this is it's not like the same admin area that is like my personal account. This one is like my actual company email address, right? So I need to log into that different Google account. Okay, so now it's basically what it's done is it's added another folder, right? For me to add in the credentials to. So this one's called work. I'm going to ask it to change the folder name to Insider1. So change the folder name to Insider1. That'll be just a bit easier, I think. Now you see it's renamed the folder. Let me show you exactly what I mean by that in case that's not clear. So within my config file, you see I had my original Google Workspace, which has the key to my my personal account. Now it's created a Google Workspace for Insider1, right? And this is an area where I'm going to have to paste in my secret for this project. So now I've got to create a new whole project in Google Cloud, but this time for my Insider account. So let's do that right now. So first it says, so go into the account. Right, so what I need to do firstly is I need to load up my Insider email. So this is it here. So this is my Insider email address, right? And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to also go to the Google Cloud. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Google Cloud area, right? So it's renamed. So now that I've done that, basically what it's done is it's renamed the folder to Insider1. So if I show you here, in my .config, I've got obviously the original folder where I had my original key, my secret, and now it's created a new one. So GWS Insider1, which is where I'm going to paste the new key. One thing that I wanted to note is that I am going to be using a different Google account. This is going to be in a different Google Cloud account, right? So I'm going to set up a new project for a separate Google Cloud account because this is a separate email and workspace entirely. So yeah, it says the steps are basically the same. So I've got to go to the Google Cloud console, create a new project, enable the same APIs, do the whole OAuth consent screen thing again, and then save the secret, right? So it's the exact same steps. So let's do this quickly again, right? So first of all, you go to console.cloud.google.com, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. So new project. I'm going to call this GWS Insider. Okay, so it's creating that project now. I'm going to select it, and if we remember from the last step that we did, the first thing we need to do is we need to enable all the APIs. So we're going to go to APIs and services, and we're going to enable the APIs of the Google services that we want to be able to use, right? So I'm going to click enable. And now we begin the great search. Gmail API. Enable. Now I'm just going to fast forward across me enabling all these APIs right now. Okay, so I've done all that. Now let's do the OAuth consent screen thing again. So OAuth consent screen. Close that. You see there's a big button here that says get started. I'm going to write GWS Insider. I'm going to select the same email. Next. External. Next. Add in my email address. Next. Finish. Continue. Create. And the next thing was you need to create an OAuth client. So you go in clients. Create client, application type, desktop app. I'm going to call it again GWS Insider. So this is actually to identify the client. So I mean, this is going to be like let's say like work, personal PC. Right, and we've got the secret key again. So right now you scroll down, download the JSON file. We then open up the JSON file. We're going to rename it to, well, we've got to get rid of the old one first. So rename this to client secret. All good. Now that is done, we're going to copy this. We're going to go into the config file that we actually had before. So .config GWS Insider 1. We're going to paste this. We're going to overwrite the previous one. Replace. That is now done. So I've saved this. I have done this and saved the secret into the folder. One last step that I forgot to do. I forgot to add myself as a test user. This is important, right? Okay, so let's go back here. Now we're going to go into where is it? Audience, I think. Yeah, audience, and then you see here test users. Now I'm going to add my own email address. So jonathanlaw@insider1.com. Add myself as the test user. So this is the account that's going to log in and do all the sending, etc. And now, if I recall, I have done everything, right? So I logged in, I created a new project, I enabled the 5 APIs. I then did the OAuth consent screen, adding myself as a test user, which I did at the end. I created the credentials for a desktop app, and I downloaded the JSON. Then I changed the JSON file name to just client secret, and I pasted it into that .config folder, right, that it created for me. Yep, so I've done this. I've saved the secret into the folder. So let's say this, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's provided us the URL. I'm going to copy the URL. I'm then going to open up my email. Well, open up my browser, logged into, the Insider account. I click this, choose the account, enable, continue. You see now it's asking for permissions to edit all of these different tools. I click yes, and it says you may now close this window. So let's close the window. Let's go back here, and it should say it's now done. But okay, I'll prompt it. I'll say that I'm done. And yes, it says that all 3 services are working now on the first try. So you can see I've now added 2 different accounts. I've got my personal Gmail and Google Drive account, and my second Google Workspace, which is my insider account. And I can, by the way, continue doing this for my other businesses like BBG and Life Tropics. I can also add those, and I will add those, but I won't bore you by doing it again. But as an example of what I can do, it could be like this. What Google Calendar meetings do I have today at Insider 1? And you can see now it's giving me a breakdown of all of the different meetings that I have today at Insider 1 account. But then also I can switch back to my personal account. What are my latest 3 emails that I've received at my john@jonathanlewell.com account? And you can see, yeah, I can find the latest 3 emails, and I could draft emails. I could do all of those kinds of things, all from Claude with multiple different accounts. So it's super useful. And that's it. I hope it was useful. I've shown you how to link multiple accounts using the Google Workspace CLI. I think it's far superior to using the normal Google connectors that you find within Claude. This way you have way more functionality and you're able to add in multiple accounts. So give it a go. If you like this video and want more practical Claude videos, subscribe to my channel.